Hey teachers, in this episode I want to give you 3 tips on how you can engage or excite kids for learning. Let's get into it. Alright, here we go. 3 tips for engaging or exciting your students for the lesson that you want to give them. Now before I get into that, don't forget to hit the subscribe or the follow button depending on which channel you are watching so that you don't miss any of our episodes, and make sure you give us a like and a comment just to let us know how we're doing and if we are helping you. Alright, it's really, as you understand with teaching, it is really important that we have kids excited and engaged in the lessons that you are delivering, because the more excited and more engaged a child is, the more likely they are to learn and the more likely the lessons are to stick. And of course, there's less behavior, which is really what we're on this channel to learn how to do. And so the first thing I want you to think about when you're preparing your lessons is this. You need to use topics and contexts that are part of their world and have their interest at heart. You know, for many years I was a teacher in a classroom, and you know, I've had to work with pre-prescribed curriculums that come from your education systems, and many times the people that write these curriculums, they are so out of touch with where students are at in their world that the examples they use and the modes of learning that they use are really disconnected from the way the students interact. And so you need to take the time to understand how students interact in their world. What are the things that they are interested in? How do they learn? And then when you understand that, you'll have them more engaged. A little example, I was teaching a unit on song lyrics. It was part of an English curriculum, and we had to study and analyze songs. And so the curriculum asked us to play a song, and the children would listen to it and read the lyrics, and then we would have a discussion about analyzing the lyrics. Well, about halfway through this activity, one of the students piped up and said, "Sir, can you put it on YouTube?" I said, "But we're listening to a song, we're analyzing the lyrics. You don't need to listen, you don't need to watch the video clip." And they said, the class responded to me and said, "No, sir, we don't listen to music. We watch music." You see, there was a disconnect between the way that I and the curriculum writers understood music to be consumed. For most young people, they don't consume music by purely listening to it. They consume music by watching it. That gives them context, that helps them to understand the lyrics better. And so that was just a little example of how I got them more engaged. I used YouTube clips instead of audio clips, which is what the curriculum prescribed, and that had them more excited and engaged. So use modes of learning that they understand, use context that they understand and is in their world, and use examples that mean something to them. Use songs or use content that matters to their world, not yours, because as an adult, you live in a different world, and quite frankly, they don't care about it. So if you want them excited, use their world to keep them interested. The second tip is this: get them involved. So involve them in the learning process. Now, I've talked a lot about with boys, you need to be hands-on in your learning process. So one of the ways that you can do this is design lessons that require them to interact physically. You've got a lot of kinesthetic learners in your class that don't just learn by looking at something on the screen or looking at a book. They actually have to engage and feel what's going on. Charles Pollock says that if you want a boy to learn the life cycle of a frog, well, he has to be able to touch the frog. He has to be able to, examine it up close. And so find ways to engage them or get them involved in the learning in a physical and interactive way. You can also involve them in the learning by asking them about what they understand about what you're trying to teach them. You might be surprised at how much they actually know about what you're trying to teach. A little exercise I use is 3, 2, 1 to try and gauge their understanding of the topic and to involve them in the learning. Three people give me one thing that you know or understand about this topic or you've learnt in the past. Then 2 people give me something that you think is really amazing about this topic. Maybe you learnt it, it's a fun fact, something interesting. And then 1 person asks me a question about something you don't understand with the topic. You will be amazed at how many classroom discussions come alive just by eliciting their response to the content before you start just direct teaching. And the third way that you can get kids excited about what you're learning is incentivizing your lessons. Now, this is a controversial topic. You know, incentives need to be used judiciously. You can't just give incentives for everything. Kids need to learn how to self-regulate. They need to learn how to bring themselves to the learning experience without necessarily having a reward. But especially for your reluctant learners, you've got to give them some kind of motivation that will get them going or spark them up. So if you know that for some of your reluctant learners, or for some of your learners that maybe take time to get excited or get engaged in the lesson, if you know what makes them tick, if you know that there's something that they love to do, maybe they want some iPad time, maybe they want to play some football on the oval, maybe they want to have some reading time or some quiet time, use that as an incentive to get them excited about what they are doing. Bill Rogers talks about the if-then strategies. If you complete the work, then you get to do what you want to do. So it's not a matter of saying, no, you can't do that. It's not a matter of saying, no, there can't be any reward for your effort. It's just a matter of saying, I need you to have a look at this, engage with this first, then we'll get you to do the things that you want to do. If you think about it, even as teachers and as adults, we always work to incentives. You know, we come to work because we get paid. That's an incentive. Now, yes, we put in extra effort and we put in extra time because we love the kids and we want them to do their best, but we work for incentive. If somebody said, you have to come to school and teach and I'm not going to pay you anymore, well, I guarantee you most of you would never turn up to school again. And so the whole notion of trying to get kids to work without some kind of motivating incentive is a little bit of a misnomer in my opinion. But at the same time, I understand we don't just reward willy-nilly all the time. They have to put in some effort. And so this is where the if-then strategy can be really helpful in that regard. So that's 3 tips on how you can excite or engage kids in the classroom. So the first one was use their interest, use their context, connect to their world, the way that they engage with content. The second thing is get them involved, give them hands-on interaction with the content that you're teaching, and also elicit their understanding. So look for their feedback in how you are teaching them. And the third idea is to use incentives, and I think the best way to do this in a balanced way is the if-then strategy. If you want to know more about that, I recommend you search on YouTube for Bill Rogers. He's got a bunch of videos out there and he has some great content on that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got a ton of value out of that episode. Don't forget to comment and let us know what you thought, or if you have specific topics you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments, and make sure you share and like if you know that somebody else will enjoy the content that we're producing. Until next time, I'm Tarun Stevenson for Karma Classrooms.